Hello and welcome once again to another edition of the Rebel White Ball. It's going to be a bit of quite some day in terms of JAHC because here in Cork the majority of the county championships have been completed. In actual fact 9 that are the main ones, but there was 2 county championships earlier on in the year. There were the Junior B championships, which were open to Junior B only clubs, and if you remember back, well, you probably don't, Naomh has won the football. They're a West Cork club from Castleknock, and Fremont up in North Cork won the hurling, beating Aghabullogue by 1 point. Now, what we have this weekend, there are 4 county finals left. There's the Junior B again, but this time they're called the Junior B Interdivisional Championships because any team that's a Junior B team can play in it and play in the divisions first, and then when they win the divisions they go on in the county. So we're down to semi-finals and quarter-finals. We'll come to that in a second. And the other 2 big finals that have to be played, the Junior A football final, which goes ahead next Sunday, as in Sunday week. That's the game between Cove and Kilmurray. And I know that maybe some people are a bit surprised with me predicting or Cove winning. I'm not too sure, but look, it's an incredible performance by Cove. A couple of years ago they were languishing, and they decided to regrade down to Junior B, and look what they are now in a county final. But anyway, as to what's on this weekend, well, first of all, tonight we have that match, the quarter final of the Junior B football championship. I know we're not talking the higher end, the higher echelons, if you like, but it's Lismore taking on Father O'Neill's. That game was called off last week. There was a systems failure with floodlights or whatever. So it's going on in the 4G pitch in Park Ewing. I expect Father O'Neill's to win it, and then on Sunday we'll go into the 2 semi-finals of those championships of the Junior B Interdivisional football. You've got Blarney taking on Ballygiblin. That game goes on in Ballymore at 2:30 on Sunday, and the other one is going to be between Ballyfihane, who are having a really good season, and they take on the winners of tonight's game. They're the 2 Junior B football, the 2 Junior B hurling equivalents. Both of those games have now been switched to the 4G pitch in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and pitches have become a problem all of a sudden. And do you know something? It just shows it, doesn't it, that the issues about playing championship matches at this time of year, and that's why you have to make sure that this inter-county season doesn't extend. The fact that it is extended by 1 week already does make me happy, but that's beside the point now. But in this Junior B hurling, the 2 semi-finals are you've Inniscarra playing Blarney, that game at 1:30, and the second game is Randlogue. Remember I mentioned them earlier on, where they were beaten by a point in the Junior B hurling itself. That's open to all Junior B teams. Well, they're back in town again. They take on Ballyhea. I think that's going to be a big ask for them. And the final game on Sunday is in the Junior B Hurling Championship quarter final between Erin's Own, who I believe have a couple of players back. It's their second team, against Naomh Rangers' first team, and of course Naomh Rangers, who have 10 dual players involved in them. And after their unbelievable performance last Sunday when they won their 23rd senior football championship. It's a good game. Some of you will have seen it, some will have heard about it, some of you will watch it in different streams or whatever. The Bears did make a comeback, but in the end, Naomh Rangers were too good. So it's going to be, a big ask now for Naomh. They're one of the 2 dual clubs, I suppose, or one of the few dual clubs still involved in championship. And I fancy them to get over Erin's Own in that one. But now that we have the county championships finished, the real beauty about this is that for the next month or so you're going to be talking about the provincial club championships. And there was a time when we didn't know, we just knew what was happening in our own county. We didn't know what was happening in any other county, but thankfully that has changed, and we're now, because of whatever, very familiar with the championships in other counties. So we're going to be watching and keeping an eye on the Munster Club Championship, and the hurling quarterfinals begin this weekend, and this is where Ballygiblin from North Cork, who, as you know, won last year's county championship, Junior, went on to won the Munster, went on to the All-Ireland, lost up in that All-Ireland, back in action this year, and they in the newly formed Premier Junior Hurling Championship, and because they won that, they get an opportunity, if you like, to retain or regain or retain their title, and they're out next Saturday in Care at 1:30, where they take on Grangemuckler Ballygiblin. Now, I think the combination there that name might put people off. I think the Ballygiblin is the hurling side of the club, or was the hurling side one time, whereas Grangemuckler was probably more known as football. I think Ballygiblin should get off to a winning chance, a winning start here, in that the Grangemuckler Ballygiblin team, they actually lost out in the Tipperary Junior Hurling final to Upperchurch, because it was Upperchurch, the second team, it was Grangemuckler that were sent forward in to represent the county. But they have a number of good players. They're a young side, a lot of their players between 19 and 24. You have the John and Mikey Lyons. You know, they come with big reputations. So does Ben Comerford and Leon Kennedy. But you'd expect the experience that Ballygiblin have built up now over the last 2 years. And there's like Lachlan Finn, Fiona Hurley, Mark Keane there in defence. You have Ryan Donegan. And of course, Dara Flynn back in action. Again, Joseph O'Sullivan, who was superb in terms of getting scores. So too Cathal O'Mahony. And of course, Johnny Golds himself. So, looking forward to that. And, you know, we've three Cork clubs now representing Cork in the Munster Club Championship. You have Ballygiblin, as mentioned. Inniscarra, they don't go out until next week because they've got through to the semi-final. And I think that's going to be a taxing enough semi-final for them against Ross Gray or Ballysaga from Waterford, who played this weekend. The Bears, I think, you know, have got, if we could use it, that they have a good side of the draw. They're straight through to the semi-final. That's not on the November 20, where they play Ballyea from Clare. And the other side of that draw, well, first of all, next Sunday you've got a Ballygunner, who are the All-Ireland champions, and a really good side. You probably know all about them. Well, they play Kilgowan McDonough's, who won the Tipperary Championship for the first time last Sunday in 37 years. And whoever wins that then would play in a Piercing. So you can see it. I think St. Finn Bears have a really good chance. We'll be talking about football, the Club Football Championship next weekend. Moving to ladies football, and here we have only one Cork club standing, if you like, and it's Naomh from Ballyboona, and they take on Oola from Limerick. In case you'd be convinced that a Cork club should always beat a Limerick club, we've seen over the past couple of weeks and last year as well that in these ladies competitions the Cork clubs haven't been known that well, and the Oola team from Limerick, they defeated Fires from Kerry in the semi-final, and they have a number of good players now. I do think that Naomh are that bit stronger than them. You know, they've been playing really well since they won the Cork Championship. Mirren Deneen, Roisin Corkery, Grace Murphy, Grania Lucy, Anna Maher, and the McDonough sisters are really important to them. Amy at midfield and Lydia at full forward. So I expect them, but make no mistake, the Oola team are a good side as well. Amy Ryan will play full forward. I think she's nearly scored 2 goals in every match. And OD is another good player. She plays in the corner. Kathleen Fitzgibbon. For those who are into relationships and what have you, her boyfriend is none other than Richie English, the Limerick hurler, and Leah Coughlin in midfield is a good player for them as well. They are the Limerick Intermediate champions, you know, which does make a bit of a difference. That's what they do to kind of balance things up, and it has worked well. So yeah, best of luck to those Cork teams. Then in the Camogie, well, first of all, in the Munster Championship, we've the 2 Cork teams out, and first of all, you have Aghabullogue. They go out in intermediate. They welcome a Tipperary club, Borrisley, who are a really good side to coach for on Sunday. That game goes on, I think, at 2:30. And after the exploits of the last couple of weeks for Aghabullogue, things are real high up there. The fact it was their 3rd final, in a row. They were 8 points down the first day. They drew that, and the last day went to extra time, and they won with a last minute score. Clean Healy is their outstanding player, but you know they have others as well. There was a massive crowd in that replay last Saturday in Rearranged. So I'd imagine that, you know, in Aghabullogue next Sunday there'll be a big turnout, and they're a good club to organise matches, and I would imagine that they'll extend the war coach and friendship to the Tipperary girls, and then they will obviously try and beat them. As well as Clean Healy, Miriam Cotter and Ciara McCarthy, Maeve Ring and Emma Flanagan are just a few players that have been outstanding for them all season. For the Borrisolee team, players like Aoife Ryan, Julianne Burke, Niamh McGrath, Noreen Staple and Katie Fitzgerald. As I say now, it's going to be, I suppose home advantage has to mean something, but at the same time it's going to be a big effort for Aghabullogue, and I presume, I can certainly presume there was a bit of celebrating involved after that victory last weekend. In the senior, it's Sarsfields represent Cork, and I mean they were so unlucky to be beaten by an Amy O'Connor inspired Shandoon side, and a bit like David Clifford winning matches for any team he plays with, Amy O'Connor has a habit of doing likewise. So Sars, I think if they're in the right frame of mind, I know that sometimes when you're not the champions of your own county, but you're their champions in everything except they were beaten by this divisional side. But players like Lucy Allen, Orla Mullins, Elma Wood, Cleena Lynch and Molly Lynch, Caitlin Sheehan, Ellen Murphy, Casey and Tara Ellis, they are really good Camogie players, so I think they have a good chance. But they're playing Scariff O'Gunlow from Clare, and you must remember these are the Clare champions for the past 3 years. They're the Munster champions, beating Inniscarra, who were in a similar situation, you remember last year, because they had to represent Cork, and I think they beat Inniscarra and Ballyanley actually. So these are big games, and playing, I think, in a club in the Munster Club Championship is absolutely a fabulous reward for being involved in the county. You're often a new era. Supporters get to travel, get a chance maybe to visit new places that they normally wouldn't visit. So we extend obviously the best of luck. 3 Cork teams out representing the Cork ladies, and the 2 teams in the Camogie, Ballygiblin as well. And then what else is on at Camogie? Well, we have on last Monday the weather was terrible, as you know, and as a consequence the junior A and B finals were called off. Well, they're back on this Saturday. The junior A1 is on at 7:30 in the 4G pitch in Bishopstown. I'm trying to think that I make a series error last week and said that it was Ballinhassig and Tracton. Well, if I did, it was, but it's Ballinhassig and Ballinora. And I think Ballinhassig will win that one, as I said to you. The fact that they have a number of players back. And the other game, then the Junior B decider, is on at 1 o'clock in St. Edith's pitch. This is supposed to be fairly elevated, windy spot. But I would imagine the Camogie players have Aheda and Ayol are used to maybe windy conditions. I think Aheda will win that one. The other game, I'm not too sure of the venue, it's fixed for Sunday. That's the 13-a-side Junior C competition between Mill Street and Kildare. So I don't know where the venue for that is yet. What else have we got for you? Well, obviously we're moving into the break part of the Premier League, and first of all, I suppose the 4 Premier League sides that are in the Champions League appear to have secured their place in the knockout stages of the competition. So it's back to Premier League action this weekend, and the matches they're on Saturday. We have Leeds, of course, will be on a bit of a high after their defeat of Liverpool. But so are Nottingham Forest, and look what happened to them when they take on Bournemouth. Man City take on Fulham, who've been kind of unbeaten in their last 4 games. These are the Saturday games. Nottingham Forest, whose season is not going that well, despite that win, will play Brentford. And I know we've Evertonians around the place as well. They have a big match when they take on Leicester, who are improving despite being at the bottom. And then on Sunday we have Chelsea taking on Arsenal. Chelsea beat last week. Arsenal still top of the table. Aston Villa under a new manager taking on United, who seem to be doing well under their new manager. Southampton take on Newcastle. We'll see how the money is working there this time. Last year Newcastle were at the bottom. Sheiks came to town, up towards the top, and Sports take on Liverpool. Then I think there's one more week after that then before they head off to for the Sean Sheehy Cup, otherwise known as the World Cup. And my God, this guy, doesn't he fit in with the beliefs of what they do out in Qatar? Like, we'll probably mention it some other time to you, but this World Cup has to be serious questions hanging over it, that is played out in this place where human rights, civil rights are serious issues, and the views, I suppose, voiced by Father Sheehy. I don't know where this fella came from, but anyway, hoping he stole somewhere. The fact that his views would fit in very well with these boys out in Qatar that run that particular country out there. So we're going to call it in his memory for this week the Father Sean Sheehy Cup. The rugby season is moving towards the famous autumn internationals. About 10 years ago, I think these came into existence there. Basically, this is part of professional sport, has to generate money at all times, make up competitions if you have to. And Ireland over the next 3 Saturdays will be playing 3 matches. I think we know that they play South Africa, Fiji after that the following Saturday, and then they finish the game with Australia. But the game on this Saturday in the VV at 5:30, it's the number 1 team in the world, Ireland, versus the world champions, South Africa. And both of these teams, by the way, will be in the same group in the group stages, which Ireland and all the big countries always get out of in the World Cup. But for some people, the narrative is that Ireland haven't arrived until they get past the quarter-final. But anyway, that's for another day. This will be an interesting one. And a game that's on Friday night is the Ireland 18 taking on an All Blacks 15. And I see in this team where Gavin Coombs will be playing at number 8, but interestingly that Jack Crowley, who we spoke about him, he's the neighbour by the way, but anyway, he played the number 10 jersey for Munster last week in Ulster, and even though that, you know, the results didn't go their way, he was one player that has really impressed, and this is a good opportunity for him. I would not be at all surprised, no pressure, that when it comes around to selecting the team or the squad to go to France, Jack won't be far off the mark. Mentioning another local young man, this time the Kinsale-based John Murphy. Well, he plays the final tour event in the Challenge Tour. It's the Rolex Challenge Grand Final, if you like, and it's in Mallorca. And he tees off. Now, he's in 42nd place at the moment. Getting into the top 20 is the real dream. Is it beyond him? Possibly. But I think the further up the ranking you get, and there's you'll get, if you get the top 20, you get on the DP tour. That's what it's all about. But still improve your position. Can secure invites to better events next year if you like. So he tees off at I think 25:8 on Thursday morning. So we wish him all the best to look at that one. So what else we got? Oh yeah, to wish Sean O'Donoghue, the Cork team captain, the hurling captain, he takes over. The new management put him in place, and his first match, DDO Cork. Well, the first league game anyway, Saturday the 4th of February against Limerick. By the way, the Cork footballers begin their campaign against Meath. That's on Sunday, January 29, 2:30 in Páirc Keeve. And of course, for some of you that are of a more mature vintage, will remember series battles in 87, 88, 89 and 90 between Cork and Meath, and 2 guys involved in that. John Cleary was the stylish Cork forward. Colm O'Rourke was a stylish Cork forward that knew what to do when it had to be done. So he now gets his chance. Both of them now are the team manager, so we'll be really interested in that one. I suppose an appointment that surprised me a little bit during the week was, or maybe not, the Cork Ladies Football Minor Management is not going to reach headlines anytime soon. But during the week, Jamie Cronin was selected by an interview panel. There was 5 in the interview panel, and I think that was ratified in a board meeting. Now, seemingly, Joe Carroll was the manager of this team. They won the All-Ireland. I'm not too sure whether I think he was in charge a couple of years previously as well, maybe there wasn't an All-Ireland. It's possible that under his baton the team was unbeaten. But it's a rather strange thing, isn't it, that he wasn't selected. He did attend an interview. I don't know where else this would apply to win an All-Ireland. Maybe this is a policy that the manager would turn up and have to do an interview for his job again. Ify Fitzgerald, you remember last year, refused to turn up when the senior job was advertised, and Cork hadn't won an All-Ireland. But anyway, it would appear that the fact that I think there was about 6 people put their names forward for this the start of the year, and in the end, then they just selected this. But I do know that Joe Carroll is really annoyed about it. But of course, that's democracy, and I suppose you have to accept all those things. But probably very few places where a man that is in charge of a team that wins an All-Ireland doesn't get the job for the following year. But anyway, Shinshke Lele, again, as we always finish off, the best of luck if you're involved in any sporting exploits this weekend, and until we meet again, take care.